The trip we took to Jamestown, Virginia one summer was one that I remember my mom being so excited about. And every summer we had to go someplace of historical significance. Whether it was Washington, D.C., which we went many summers and visited every monument and everything there was, to the Liberty Bell, to the birthplace of all the former presidents, and George Washington Carver. I remember that one, but the one that stood out the most was Jamestown, Virginia, because she was so excited about that trip, knowing that we would be going to the place that the first Africans landed in this country. And when we were getting ready to go, we had done all this research and we went, and she was so excited. And when we got to Jamestown, she was just in amazement because everything looked like it did in the colonial times. And the people were dressed like they were. The streets, I remember, were cobblestone. There weren't any cars in that area. There were the carriages and things like that. So her excitement grew and grew more and more each day. So when we went to the museum that they had there, and it was right on the beach, I remember that. So we had walked around back, and she looked at the shoreline and tried to picture the ship coming across, because August 20th, 1619 was when the first Africans came to America. And the ship that they came on was called Jesus, and they came as indentured servants. So I remember her looking out, trying to picture that ship called Jesus coming to America. And we walked along the sand. I remember her with a little Ziploc type bag, getting some sand. She wanted to take that to bring back with her, and she said, wow, just think they walked across this very sand. We took some of the pebbles from the beach. She thought, wow, they could have walked over these same pebbles that we have. And her excitement was building. She was teary-eyed. She was so excited. And we went on the tour, and we were the only people of color on that tour group, and we went through the museum. We heard everything that the tour guide had to say. They had pictures of the ship, things that were on the ship, pictures of the cargo. They had the names of the cats and dogs that were on the ship, the passengers, but we didn't ever see anything about the names of those 20 Africans who were on that ship. So as the tour ended, she raised her hand and said, you've told us so much about this, but the reason I wanted to come so very badly was to learn more about those 20 Africans who were on that ship. Where are their names? And I remember the lady saying, I'm sorry, we don't have that information. And that was one of the few times in my life I ever remember her spirit just being crushed. I mean, it was almost as if she had waited her whole life for that moment, almost one of those full circle moments you have in life. And when they didn't have that information, it really just crushed her spirit. And I remember her saying later, you know, after all this time, we're still, so much of our history, we're still such a nameless, faceless people.